Hello everybody, this is 3 Rail Tom and I'm here today with my Lionel Long Island Railroad Alco C420. This was a Nassau Hobby exclusive run, so this wasn't cataloged, and the model you see in particular is known as the Red Wave scheme. Long Island Railroad had a number of paint schemes on these units over the years. This one in particular was meant to commemorate the 1976 bicentennial, and actually they painted most of their equipment with this paint scheme, including the GP38s. What you see here is an image that I got from trainsairfun.com, and this depicts what the actual engine looked like in real life. So you can see that this is not a fantasy scheme. This was actually painted during that time frame. There are actually a few subtle differences between the model that Lionel has done and the actual prototype. First thing being the trucks, specifically the truck side frames. If you look here, there is a different type of truck frame that is being used on the prototype in comparison to what Lionel has given us. Luckily, if this bothers you, there is a fix to this problem. I will put a link in the description to a website called Shapeways, where you can buy a 3D printed version of these side frames that someone has developed and made available for purchase. Keep in mind these are not cheap, so this is really for the ideal modeler that is going for very precise detailing and isn't worried about breaking the bank. But it adds that little bit of extra detail to the model that it didn't come with from Lionel. The second thing being the most obvious in my opinion, which is the horns on backwards. When Lionel did these engines back in 2005-2006 time frame, the engines were painted in a different scheme, but the horn was shown in the correct direction. As you see here, the horns are facing the short hood forward, which, not to say that Long Island didn't do, because I have seen videos of these engines run in reverse technically, but if you want it to be more prototypical, the horn should be facing in the direction of the long hood forward. A minor detail, and I know that some people have flipped these around, but I just wanted to point out that that is a subtle difference between the prototype, the previous model, and the current model. This paint scheme is actually very unique for Lionel to do on these C420s. It's never been done before, and it was something that Nassau Hobby did as a limited run. Believe it or not, this is not my only C420 in a Long Island Railroad paint scheme. I have 5 of them. Out of the 5 paint schemes that I have with Long Island Railroad on these C420s, the bicentennial Red Wave is my favorite. I may do a separate video on some of the other paint schemes that I have, notably the MTA blue and yellow paint scheme, and I have a few of the orange and gray World's Fair paint scheme engines, but they overall have the same features, and it would really just be a video to show what color schemes that I have, along with maybe the passenger cars. This version of the C420 that Lionel has done is just like any other typical legacy engine. And when I say legacy, I mean it has sounds, smoke, electrocouplers, the whole 9 yards. And believe it or not, it actually goes very well with Lionel's catalog Long Island Railroad 21-inch passenger cars, which by themselves are incredible. They go with just about every engine that I own, with the exception of the orange and gray World's Fair paint scheme. But I do have a separate set of passenger cars for those. I run this engine with a set of K-Line passenger cars that I got off of eBay a few years ago. And wow, they look great. However, I also pair it with the Alco FA unit that Lionel did a few years back, again, in a Long Island Railroad paint scheme. And I think it pairs very well. The blues don't really match very well, but they're on opposite ends of the train, and it's not really that noticeable unless you put the engines together. With that being said, let's get into some of the features, sounds, smoke, and all the good stuff with this engine.
This is the dispatcher. Do you copy? I copy that. Over. Please start up and stand by. Over. Yes, sir. Start up and stand by. Out. Dispatcher, error is made. Brake test complete. Are we clear to pull? Over. Roger, your track is clear. Dispatcher, over. Thank you much. Cleared outbound. Out. Dispatcher here, 8 degree. Over. Roger that. Here we go. Out. Dispatcher, am I cleared to the outbound? Over. Negative. Please stand by. Over. Yes, sir. Holding for a signal. Out. Dispatcher here. Please hold. Over. Copy that. Sitting tight. Out. See you next trip, dispatcher. Out.